Hello and welcome to this video. We are going to learn how to divide a polynomial by synthetic division. So let's have a few examples. So let's say we have a polynomial x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4, and then we are dividing it by x minus 2. So how do we go about it? So what we do is that, so I'm going to write the coefficients of the polynomial. I'm going to start by the coefficient of x cubed, which is 1. So I have 1, and then the coefficient of x squared is 1. The coefficient of x is negative 4, and then we have negative 4. The coefficient of x to power 0, remember we have an x to power 0 here. X to power 0 is 1, so we don't have to write it. Okay. So, and then what do we divide by? What number are we going to put here? So what we do is that we're going to equate the denominator x minus 2, we're going to equate it to 0, and then try to find the value of x. So we're going to have x is equal to 2. So that is what we are going to divide by. We're going to have a 2 there. Or simply, you can just take this value and then change the sign. If it's a negative, you divide by, or you make the sign positive, and if it's a negative, you make it positive, and vice versa. So if it would be x plus 3, we could divide by negative 3. You just change the sign of this part. So for this case, we're going to divide by 2. And what we do is that for this first term, let's start with this first term, that is 1. We just drop it down here as it is. So we're going to have 1. And then we multiply 1 by 2. 1 by 2, it's 2. And then we write it here. And then we add 1 to 2. We're going to get 3. So we repeat the same process for each of these terms. So we then multiply 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is 6, and then we write it here, and then we add negative 4 to 6, it's going to be 2, and then 2 times 2 is going to be 4, and then we write it here, and then we add negative 4 to 4, it's going to be 0. So if we get 0 as our last term, this means that x minus 2 is a factor of this polynomial. But we're going to learn what to do if we don't get a 0 in the last term. So for this case, x minus 2 is a factor of that polynomial, that is x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4. So this becomes the coefficient of x squared. So we're going to start with x squared, because when you divide x cubed by x, it's going to be 1 degree less. So we're going to start with x squared, and then 3 is going to be the coefficient of x. So we're going to have 3x, and then 2 is going to be the coefficient of x to power 0. X to power 0 is 1. So we just write it the way it is. Okay. And this is going to be our answer. When you divide this polynomial by x minus 2, we're supposed to get x squared plus 3x plus 2. And to check whether this answer is correct, what you just need to do is to multiply x squared plus 3x plus 2, multiply it by x minus 2, and check whether you'll get this polynomial as the answer. And I want us to look at another example. So let's have a polynomial x cubed plus 2x squared plus 9, and then we divide it by x plus 3. Okay, so like we said, we need to write the coefficients of the polynomial. So I'm going to write it that way, and then I'm going to start with the coefficient of the highest power, that is x to power 3. The coefficient is 1, and then for x squared the coefficient is 2. And then you need to realize that for this case we don't have the coefficient of x, or rather we don't have the value of x, or x to the power 1. So what we do for this case, we just have it as 0. So you don't skip that part. So you need to arrange the coefficients in decreasing power of x. So from x to the power 3, x to the power 2, x to the power 1 up to x to the power 0. So if any one of them is not there, you just write a 0. Like for this case, we don't have the x to the power 1, so we just put a 0, and then for x to the power 0 we're going to have 9. Okay, so what are we going to divide by? What value are we going to put here? So as we said, we need to equate the denominator, that is x plus 3, we need to equate it to 0. So we're going to have x is equal to negative 3. So we're going to divide by negative 3. So we're going to have a negative 3. Negative 3. So as we said, we start with this first term, we drop it down here, so we're going to have 1. Then 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. We write it there, and then we add 2 plus negative 3 is going to be negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 3 is going to be 3. We write it there, and then we add, it's going to be 3. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So 9 plus negative 9 is 0. So we said if you get the last term as 0, it means that x plus 3 is a factor of that polynomial. So this is going to be the coefficient of x squared. This one is going to be the coefficient of x to the power 1, and this is going to be the coefficient of x to the power 0. So we're going to have x squared minus x plus 3. Okay, so you can check whether that is the correct answer by multiplying it by x plus 3, and check whether you'll get that polynomial as the answer. So I want us to look at one final example, because I see that we are running out of time. So let's have x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x plus 4, and then we divide it by x minus 3. So you can even pause the video and try to work it out by yourself and check whether you'll get the correct answer. So let's have the coefficients of the polynomial, starting with x to the power 3. So we're going to have 1, negative 3, 2, and 4. And then we divide by 3. I hope by now you have realized that what we are doing, x minus 3 is equal to 0, so x is equal to 3. So we're going to divide by 3. So we're going to drop 1 down here, so we're going to have 1. 1 times 3 is 3, so we write it there, and then we add negative 3 plus 3 is going to be 0, and then 0 times 3 is 0, then 2 plus 0 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, and then 4 plus 6 is 10. So you see, for this example, we don't have 0 as the last term here. For the other examples, we have we had 0 as our last term, but for this case we don't have 0, we have 10. So this means that x minus 3 is not a complete, is not a factor of this polynomial. So there's a reminder, and our reminder is 10. So what we do, okay, this is going to be the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of x to the power 1, the coefficient of x to the power 0. So what we're going to do, we're going to have x squared plus 0x to the power 1, and then plus 2x to the power 0, and then the remainder is 10. We write it as 10 divided by, or 10 over x minus 3. So we can simplify this. So it's going to be, our final answer is going to be x squared. 0x to power 1, you can just leave it because it will be 0, and then plus 2x to power 0. We said x to power 0 is 1, so just going to be plus 2, and then plus our remainder, which is 10 over x minus 3, and that is our answer. So if you don't get a 0 in this last term, you just take it as, or you just, if you get a number x, you just write it as x divided by what we were dividing by. For this case, it is x minus 3. And that is how to divide polynomials. We're going to look at more examples in the next video.